Last time on, Jared was bravely fighting against the demonic lich with the help of Isabella. Find out what happens next in today's recap. Unleashing a surge of unexpected power, the lich's onslaught sent Jared stumbling backward. The ensuing clash was fierce, with the lich hurling a barrage of attacks that left Jared little room to counter. Even his spellcasting attempts were swatted away by the lich's might. The lich's magic grew so potent that it shattered Jared's protective shield. As danger loomed and a deadly strike neared, Isabella intervened, rescuing Jared from near-certain doom. With the undead body gone, it was now a direct showdown between Jared and the lich. This twist of fate surprised Jared, yet he remained confident. He realized the lich, like other creatures in Paradiso, followed a pattern of attack and defense. Resolute and unyielding, Jared inched closer to the lich. He was ready to unleash his ultimate move. A surprise hidden up his sleeve. His luck continued to underestimate him, thinking him just a third-class magician. Jared revealed his true power, delivering a fourth-class attack of immense magnitude. His strategic mastery diminished the lich's power to mere nothingness. Still, the lich refused to accept defeat, fighting on with unrelenting determination. Despite his tenacity, there was no escaping the fate Jared had set for him. The lich's demise was certain, a fourth-class magician triumphing over a ninth-class opponent. With the lich's passing, it left behind a mysterious bracelet, the very artifact Jared had sought. Curiosity piqued, Isabella turned to Jared, questioning the possibility of a resurrected being forming an unbreakable bond with its master. Could it be that the revived entity would forever obey, even in death? Jared confirmed both questions with a resolute yes, although Isabella's reaction was mixed. She wasn't pleased with the idea of becoming a subservient slave, craving a more equal partnership. Jared, however, had different intentions. He aimed to elevate their magical resilience and tolerance, seeking Isabella's cooperation. To achieve this, he suggested using cursed magic on her, a process that involved multiple rounds of magical infusion. Isabella nodded eagerly, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. As she transformed into a human form, she took on the appearance of a beautiful girl with flowing golden hair and mysterious red eyes. The two companions, Isabella and Jared, found themselves navigating their way through the winding mountain paths, discovering the eerie remnants of past travelers along the way. Thankfully, many of the dangerous traps had been deactivated, but they couldn't help but wonder about the fate of the girl whose body Isabella now inhabited. Isabella wished silently that the girl's spirit hadn't turned into an evil presence, feeling a twinge of loneliness herself. Determined not to let that darkness consume her, she made up her mind to fully embrace this new human life. She dreamed of indulging in delicious foods, trying on different dresses, and experimenting with makeup to experience the joys of being alive. Jared couldn't help but smile at Isabella's spirited determination. He was grateful to have such a lively and dependable partner by his side, someone who had come to mean so much more than just an ally. Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day. Do you like magic manhwa? If so, why? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out. Now, back to the recap. Meanwhile, far away in the realm of Ranella, a pressing concern weighed heavily on the mind of the kingdom's ruler. The king fretted about the exodus of monster hunters from his region, drawn to the distant shores of Krivia in search of a rumored cure. Some stayed behind in Krivia to hunt, leaving the Ronellan king with a dwindling force of skilled protectors. Frustrated and anxious to reclaim control, the king hatched a daring plan to acquire the cure for himself, willing to do whatever it took. But obtaining the cure proved to be a formidable challenge. Despite all efforts, the king's attempts to steal the elusive recipe had been in vain. He seethed with determination, defiantly declaring that if this was the game Jared wished to play, then he was ready to face the challenge head-on. In the distant land of Majorca, another monarch was plotting a different course of action. The king of Majorca, with a small army at his disposal, contemplated waging war against Krivia. However, the odds were stacked against him, and he realized that his forces were inadequate for such a massive undertaking. The king of Majorca hired a bunch of magicians, and they began preparing to destroy Jared's nation. Jared embarked on a journey to a disputed territory between Majorca and Ranella, a place where the tribe of red goblins resided. Arriving in the goblin lands, Jared and his men were met with a curious reception. The goblins, led by their leader Ivanaba, surrounded them. Jared explained his intentions, seeking to establish diplomatic ties for the acquisition of valuable resources. The goblins were intrigued, and a surprising friendship began to form. The deal was sealed, laying the foundation for a prosperous relationship. As the weeks passed, Isabella, now going by the name Isabel, settled into her new existence. She effortlessly adapted to life alongside Jared, utilizing her illusion magic to aid in his training. Together, they honed their skills and strengthened their bond. Isabella's influence extended beyond their training sessions, as she played a crucial role in Jared's efforts to recruit and train new talents for the upcoming challenges. Jared's focus shifted towards the Nurture Project, a mission to identify and nurture promising individuals who would shape the future events. Isabella and his other students, Lena and Mia, provided valuable support, earning him bonus points in his teaching endeavors. However, one student remained a challenge. Hayes, a healer with an intense dedication to her craft. Teaching Hayes to become a healer had proven to be quite a challenge for Jared. You see, the main hurdle was that Hayes couldn't quite see herself as anything other than a maid. For the past 23 years, she'd been walking the path of a maid, and changing that was tough. Instead of forcing her, Jared decided to have faith in Hayes and let her figure it out on her own. Jared left his room one day with a fresh idea to help Hayes. But on his way through his grand mansion, a sneaky assassin sprang out from the shadows and struck him down. Hayes and a guard rushed to the scene, but the assassin had vanished by the time help arrived. Even the doctors were too late. It was a dire situation, but Hayes stepped up, her eyes filled with tears and memories flooding her mind. With determination, she embraced her role as a healer and managed to mend Jared's wounds. It was a triumphant moment. Hayes had finally become a healer. Later, Jared confessed that there had been no assassin. It was all a tactic to encourage Hayes. She scolded all three, Jared, the guard, and the fake assassin, before rushing out of the room, tears streaming down her face. The Nurture Project was progressing well, despite the snowstorm raging in the Nightmare Forest. Meanwhile, deep in the heart of the forest, Sir Lacus stumbled upon a man holding a lamp. This man held the answers Lacus was seeking. He guided Lacus to his cozy cottage and brewed some tea. It turned out they were old acquaintances with a shared history. Lacus handed over the medicine for Ranella's disease, foreseeing a time when someone deep in the Nightmare Forest might need it. The old man found it hard to believe that such an inept leader like Jared could bring about a cure. Lacus tried to convince him that Jared had changed and learned from his past mistakes. However, the stubborn old man remained unconvinced, reluctant to return. Switching scenes, Jared was in a lodge enjoying seafood with Hayes and Isabel. They praised the freshness of the food, but Isabel uncovered a problem. The cold weather had hampered their crop yields, and seafood was their only option. Jared had a solution, though. He had created fertilizers that might kickstart the growth soon. The place was bustling with satisfied customers, praising Krivia's newfound prosperity. Among the crowd, a red-headed lady with sunglasses caught Jared's eye. It was Ella, a renowned NPC warrior known for aiding players during a crisis. Ella was accompanied by Queen Chloe, the ruler of the Grey Elves. Seizing the opportunity, Jared cleverly approached them, proposing an enticing deal. He offered them 5,000 gold as a down payment, along with residence in his mansion, in exchange for teaching a child. Jared insisted on a written agreement to ensure the deal's validity. Ella, skeptical of Jared's trust, questioned his motives, but Jared was clear. He didn't trust them yet. Money was his way of persuading them to stay. The dilemma of finding a new teacher for Lena was resolved, but a new concern arose. Jared realized he was forgetting Chloe's appearance, a sign of fading memories. To counter this, he planned to write a journal in Korean, a language unknown in Paradiso, to preserve his knowledge. With determination, Jared continued his plan to tackle the crises at hand. However, the time for war with the Mallorca territory had arrived, and Jared found himself in the dark about his neighbor's intentions. Our adventure continues right at the mansion, where Lena and Chloe are deeply engrossed in their rigorous training routine. Jared, curious and a bit puzzled, watches as Lena pushes herself to the limit. He wonders if she'll end up with bulging muscles from all her hard work. Chloe the elf, on the other hand, seems as composed as ever, not a single droplet of sweat on her brow. Ella, always full of wisdom, leans over to Jared and shares a glimpse of the bigger picture. She explains that this world is vast, with countless challenges waiting to be conquered. Lena's training might not be the most well-rounded, and Ella jokes that whoever trained her must not have been the best teacher. In a playful tone, she adds that Lena could probably defeat that person in mere seconds. Poor Jared can't help but chuckle at the thought, imagining Lena taking down her own teacher. Switching scenes, we find Lena experimenting with magical equipment designed to enhance her training. It's a peculiar sight, but it seems to be working wonders for her progress. Ella, now curious about Lena's unique training methods, asks about its origins. Jared explains that it's a technique hailing from the Eastern continent, though in reality, We know he's just exploiting a bug within the Paradiso system. This training method cleverly uses the 4 elements to create simulations of real combat scenarios. Meanwhile, a group of farmers joyfully welcomes Sir Oberyn, who has arrived to inspect the crops. They excitedly share how pests have been eradicated thanks to Jared's efforts, showering him with praise and gratitude for making their lives better. The system notifies Jared of his growing influence, indicating a substantial boost in loyalty and production abilities, marking the dawn of a golden age under his leadership. But the plot thickens as a mysterious stranger named Akron arrives at Jared's mansion. This enigmatic figure has a message for Jared, delivered through the activated system. The new quest bestowed upon Jared, titled Diamond Cuts Diamond, promises wisdom points in exchange for eliminating a 4th-class mage. Jared, feeling uneasy about harming another, decides to approach Akron with caution. He extends a courteous greeting, leading to a tense exchange of words. Akron hands over the message, and as Jared reads the letter, his annoyance becomes palpable. The Lord of Majorca, Horgus, mocks Jared, suggesting that they maintain their relations and friendship. Frustration builds within Jared as he questions whether Horgus takes him for a naive pushover. In an effort to play his role, Jared agrees to send a tribute as a gesture of goodwill, which pleases Akron, who underestimates Jared's cunning. As the story unfolds, we see that Jared is well prepared for the political games at play. He hosts guests from Majorca, all the while aware of a spy among them, sent by the Lord of Majorca to mock and belittle him. Jared's foresight doesn't disappoint. As he had anticipated the presence of spies, he's bracing himself for an impending storm, knowing that the other lords are plotting against him. A month passes, and the tension escalates. On the early morning of April 29th, 1414, according to the calendar, Majorcan soldiers invade the land of Krivia, setting the stage for a dramatic clash. The soldiers declare their intent to seize the territory. The Lord of Majorca has revealed his ambitious plans, claiming that the land of Krivia will soon be his. The scene unfolds at a grand mansion, where an air of quietness surrounds the atmosphere. Inquisitive Lena turns to her companion, Chloe, and wonders aloud about the whereabouts of everyone. But this moment of tranquility is soon shattered as a fiery-haired figure named Ella enters the scene with a foreboding expression. Ella's eyes lock onto Lena, her gaze laced with a sense of underlying darkness. She scorns Lena's engagement in idle chatter rather than training. Without further ado, Ella seizes the opportunity to impart a lesson, commanding Lena to complete 20 laps as a form of reprimand. The gravity of the situation dawns on Ella as she contemplates the impending war. With a determined resolve, she begins to stretch her limbs, preparing herself for the battles that might lie ahead. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to scenes of chaos and destruction. Towers crumble, and the soldiers under Jared's command find themselves in a full retreat. A loyal soldier of Majorca rushes to inform their lord of the dire situation. The news arrives that the towers have been razed, and the tankers are making a hasty escape. The soldier seeks guidance on whether to pursue the fleeing enemies. Lord Gorgas, the leader of Majorca, dismisses the idea with a sense of arrogance, mocking his opponents for their perceived foolishness. He marvels at Jared's lack of foresight, wondering if the invasion of Krivia will be as effortless as it appears. With a resounding battle cry, Gorgas commands his soldiers to press forward, determined to claim Krivia as his own. The narrative takes us to the heart of the turmoil, where the citizens of Krivia flee for their lives. Their peaceful existence has been abruptly shattered, leaving them bewildered and fearful. Jared, our steadfast protagonist, awaits the arrival of Gorgas and his soldiers. He contemplates the dire circumstances and the crucial importance of breaking the enemy's last line of defense. Jared implores his comrade Rakis to give his utmost effort, underscoring the pivotal role they play in safeguarding their land. Amidst the turmoil, Hayes, a cherished friend of Jared, watches from the sidelines. A deep affection between them is evident, rooted in a history that spans back to their childhood. Hayes yearns to join the fray, to stand side by side with Jared in this monumental battle. Her emotions pour forth as she questions why Jared won't allow her to fight by his side. With heartfelt sincerity, Jared explains the dangers of war, the perils that lie in every decision made. He acknowledges Hayes' exceptional abilities and conveys his admiration, yet he is steadfast in his resolve to protect her from harm. A poignant flashback transports us to moments shared between young Jared and Hayes. These tender memories illuminate their unbreakable bond, a connection that has stood the test of time. Jared's words resonate deeply as he shares the importance of shielding those he cherishes and his unwavering determination to do so. In a bittersweet exchange, Hayes relents, her tearful acceptance echoing through their conversation. Yet, amidst this emotional interlude, The shadow of Isabella's frustration looms in the background. Isabella's heart is entwined with a sense of uncertainty, as she fears another woman stealing her man. He hays, explaining that as a healer, it might be better for her to mend wounded souls than to join the battlefield. Beside them, a sturdy warrior named Rakis assured Jared that he would stand strong, ready for any trials that lay ahead. "Leave it to me," he said, his eyes gleaming with determination. Jared prepared himself for his first real battle, heart pounding, telling himself that all the preparations were finally in place. The scene shifted to a gathering of soldiers, each discussing the upcoming challenge. Some talked about their geographical advantage, but one soldier humorously noted that their force consisted of only 300 soldiers. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, the army of Krivia, led by Rakis, raised their flags high, a visible sign of their unity and resolve. Among them were 100 brave peasants, untrained in the art of war. Rakis spoke with gratitude, acknowledging the people's response to the news of inadequate troops. He shared heartfelt apologies for the burdens placed on them by the military. Rakis took the stage again, delivering an impassioned speech. He expressed his deep shame for the weight that Krivia's military had placed on its people. He recounted how Lord Jared had done everything he could to maintain peace, from sending tributes to bowing to the Lord of Majorca. Yet Majorca's lust for Krivia's riches persisted, bringing them to the brink of conflict. Rakis assured non-combatants that they were free to leave if they wished. Despite the challenges, Rakis declared that their presence alone had already bolstered the military's hopes. Memories flashed through Rakis's mind of a time when Krivia faced turmoil after Jared's father had passed away. Many had abandoned the land, but Rakis had chosen to stay, standing firm even in the face of demotion. Now, he reflected, his unwavering resolve would serve him well. The peasants, filled with determination, cried out that they would protect the land Lord Jared had worked so hard to nurture. They pledged their allegiance and stood by their leader. Racists marveled at their spirit, amazed by the transformation of these once barren lands. Suddenly, a new energy surged within him. Instead of fleeing, the peasants chose to fight, preferring to face the enemy head-on rather than run away. Rakis thought to himself, "This heat is more unbearable than the harshest winter. I won't stand down." As the enemy's approach became imminent, the soldiers distributed swords and shields. An alert spread through the ranks. The enemy was coming. But a twist of fate presented a new challenge. The approaching force wasn't from Majorca. It was led by a figure named Lord Vartman of Brunella. Two might lord hold a meeting regarding Jared and his nation. These lords were in charge of different territories, and they were always trying to outsmart each other. One day, they remembered a time when they received tribute from a guy named Jared. Anyway, Jared had given them a lot of valuable things, and they were talking about how much they got. It seemed like a lot of stuff. Jared was smart, you see, and he had made his land, Krivia, really strong and stable financially. He was kind of like a master at handling money. But there was more to this story than just gifts and money. There was a feeling that something tricky was going on. One of the lords, Horgus, got really serious and slammed his hands together to get everyone's attention. He wanted Vartman to listen carefully to what he was about to say. Horgus started thinking out loud, wondering why Jared, who Horgus called a bastard, would act all friendly and give them gifts. He suspected that Jared might be secretly making fun of them and trying to take their lands away. Horgus wasn't completely wrong because Jared was thinking about how to be sneaky with his plans. Horgus believed that Jared was just pretending to be nice and peaceful. You see, Horgus knew a secret about Jared, that he had lived before and had come back to life. That's called being reincarnated. Horgus thought Jared was using his past life's knowledge to trick them. Horgus felt pretty sure that Jared didn't have a strong army, maybe even weaker than a baby dragon. Horgus thought Jared was trying to use his money to buy peace, like trying to make friends by giving people things. But Horgus didn't quite trust Jared's kindness. Horgus said something interesting. Krivia only had 300 troops, which is like having only a handful of friends to play with. Vartman knew that was a small number for an army. Then Horgus made a big announcement. He said that they were going to become allies with Renella's land and team up against Jared and Krivia. They wanted to get ready for a big fight. So they shook hands and started planning. They even gathered more than 3,000 troops, which is like having a huge crowd of people together. But guess what? Even though they were acting all buddy-buddy, Horgus and Renella were secretly planning to fight each other after they defeated Jared. Tricky, huh? Now let's come back to the present. Vartman is thinking about how surprised Jared must be to see Horgus's soldiers marching through the forest. Vartman said that Jared is really not so smart because he didn't realize there was a secret path in his own territory. Vartman is making fun of Jared, saying he's bad at his job and doesn't know his land well. Later, surprise. The person who takes off the helmet isn't really Jared. It's a spy who was working with Jared's army. The spy is all confused and scared, wondering what's happening. He realizes that Jared knew about the plan all along, and this was a trap. Oh no. The spy tries to run away, but a soldier catches him and ends his run. The soldiers are talking, and they're surprised that there was really a spy. Jared was one step ahead. Flashback time again. We see a time when Jared talked to Reikis. Jared was a smart cookie because he asked Reikis about how to defeat the two lords if they joined forces. Reikis said that the main road would be a way for them to attack. But Jared was even smarter. He knew about that idea and found a hidden path that the lords didn't know about. Jared decided to be super sneaky. He planted magical mines along the path. These mines were like little bombs that could explode really big. Jared was a genius, inventing these powerful mines himself. Reikis watched in amazement as the mana flowed and reached its target. A sudden explosion rocked the area, scattering shrapnel and debris. He could hardly believe his eyes. It was like something out of a fantastic tale. Wow, that's an extraordinary weapon, Reikis marveled. Jared's face showed a mix of determination and pride. This method will help us defend our land. The enemies won't fight on our territory anymore. Instead, our forest will become a memorial for those who dare attack us, he declared, sounding more and more like a true leader. Back on the road, Horgus and his soldiers marched toward the battlefield. Across the way, there stood Jared, a resolute figure waiting for them. He spoke with a chilling confidence. "This journey you're on? It's a one-way ticket to hell." Horgus ordered his soldiers to charge, his voice carrying the weight of impending violence. "Wipe them out! Cut down anyone who resists!" he commanded. "And those who surrender, chain them up!" Horgus believed he was about to unleash a massacre. He thought his era of wealth and honor was dawning. But then, a mysterious voice whispered agreement. "Yes, this is the start of a massacre," it hissed. Jared's voice echoed again, calm yet chilling. "No need for weapons. Let my traps test your shields, Lord Horgus." And in that moment, the forest revealed its secrets. Hidden traps, countless in number, were scattered throughout, waiting to be triggered. Akron, a skilled mage, sensed something amiss. He felt the mana pulsing underground, causing the earth to tremble. Urgently, he called out, "Raise your shields now!" But before they could react, an earth-shaking explosion erupted, showering the men in fire and debris. Akron strained to hold his shield as chaos unfolded. The forest was ablaze with destruction. Lord Vartman, another leader, stared in shock as the explosion rocked the byway. He wondered if the tide had turned against them. Pushing his doubts aside, Vartman rallied his troops, his voice determined. "Wipe them out!" The soldiers charged, clashing with Jared's forces. Against all odds, Jared's small group held their ground, showing remarkable strength and unity. Back in the aftermath, Horgus and Akron assessed the devastation. Akron reported the grim news. Most of their soldiers were wiped out, save for a small group trailing behind. Horgus sighed, realizing that even the two mages he had trained had perished. Facing the brutal truth, Horgus grudgingly acknowledged Jared's terrifying power. He had lost his men in the blink of an eye. He had underestimated the forest-dwelling ruler's prowess. Now, Horgus knew his only hope lay in relying on Akron. In the heat of the battle, our hero Jared sprang into action, surprising everyone around. He swiftly tackled Akron, his nemesis, with unexpected force. Horgus, wide-eyed and astonished, watched as Jared grabbed Akron's neck and soared into the air, taking the villain by surprise. Akron, finally realizing Jared's deceit, felt his heart sink. As they ascended higher into the sky, Jared's thoughts raced. What was he planning? With Akron in tow, Jared's determination burned bright. At a certain height, he decided it was time. With a powerful twist, Jared released Akron, sending him hurtling toward the earth. Jared was right behind him, his mind focused on the upcoming spell. "Ready or not," Jared declared as they fell, his voice ringing with authority. He prepared to cast a spell mid-air, the wind rushing past him. Akron, desperately searching for an escape, faced an ultimatum from Jared. "Fly and save yourself, or use a shield to block my ice storm attack. Your choice." Akron's mind raced. He marveled at the audacity of Jared's plan, realizing that Jared was unlike any other mage he had encountered. Mages usually tested each other's skills and tactics, but Jared was a wild card, breaking all the rules. Akron found himself in a fierce mid-air struggle with Jared, grinning despite the danger. Before we continue, let's take a moment to shout out Anasuchi Zero, who commented, Necromancy skill is overpowered in Lot of Manhwa on our max level newbie video. Thanks for commenting. With a burst of strength, Akron shattered Jared's shield and knocked off his helmet. "You can't outwit me," Akron taunted, his confidence evident. He explained his understanding of Jared's intentions, predicting the teleportation magic. Akron's grin turned into determination as he aimed a fire spell at Jared before vanishing into a magic portal. Jared's heart raced as he dodged the fire, his mind racing to counter Akron's move. But Akron had underestimated Jared's ingenuity. As Akron reappeared on the other side of the portal, he found himself impaled on spears, trapped in a tree. Panic filled Akron's eyes as he realized his mistake. "Did you really think you had me?" Jared's triumphant voice echoed. He appeared beside Akron, his plan now fully revealed. Akron's realization hit him hard. He had danced to Jared's tune all along. Akron was trapped, defeated by his own arrogance. Jared's words cut through the air. "Your evil deeds catch up to you now," he declared, surrounded by a fiery aura. Hellfire engulfed Akron, marking the end of his reign of terror. As Akron met his demise, a system notification heralded Jared's victory and reward. Jared's mind raced, his emotions a mix of relief and satisfaction. "Quest complete, neck-and-neck combat complete," he mused. His wisdom had grown, a testament to his skills and determination. Akron's threats had been extinguished, and justice had prevailed. The battlefield below was a scene of chaos, with soldiers fighting relentlessly. Hayes, a healer with a heart of gold, tended to the wounded in a medical tent. Battlemen shouted orders, and chaos loomed. As the battle raged on, the center of the formation crumbled, signaling trouble for the soldiers. Rakus, a warrior of great resolve, recognized the dire situation. "Hold formation!" he cried out. But the chaos could not be contained. The enemy soldiers breached the interior lines, their eyes fixed on Hayes and the wounded. In the midst of battle, Hayes and the other medics stand frozen as they witness the attackers closing in, ready to strike them down. The soldiers around them are caught in a state of shock, unable to comprehend the sudden turn of events. A man's voice rises above the chaos, expressing disbelief that the mighty soldiers of Krivian could be pushed back so effortlessly. Another voice chimes in, suggesting that since they left the army, its power has waned without their presence. A figure wearing a wolf-like helmet speaks up, suggesting that their return to action was spurred by a higher calling, perhaps the Lord's request. Questions arise from the ranks as to why they're arriving only now, and the answer comes from a man among them, explaining that they had previously dealt a significant blow to Majorca, but now they are ready to stand united, with a force of 100 elite guards and 900 soldiers led by Jared, determined to fight together in this new war. Let's travel back in time to a different era, when a younger, plumper Jared converses with a man named Barrett. This Barrett, who had once served Jared's father loyally, hears the young Jared's decision to retire his father's soldiers, deeming them no longer necessary after his father's passing. Unbeknownst to them, these actions would lead to a decline in the fortunes of the soldiers and workers who had relied on their service. As the years pass, Barrett witnesses how Jared, now a lord, transforms the land. Under Jared's rule, the country blossoms with improved systems, facilities, food, and roads. The people thrive, and Barrett becomes moved by their happiness. Recognizing Jared's positive impact, Barrett reaches out to his former comrades, who had quietly retreated into the woods. These elite soldiers, who had once vowed to fade away, rally behind Jared once again, acknowledging his commitment to the land and its people. Now, fast forward to the present battlefield, where Lord Vartman commands his soldiers to retreat upon realizing that Jared's forces are greater than anticipated. Horgus, with the remaining Majorca soldiers, flees from the advancing Jared. Amidst the chaos, Jared confronts Horgus, questioning his well-being. Horgus tries to belittle Jared, suggesting that he relies on magic and trickery, urging his men to fight honorably. Undeterred, Jared responds that he will descend after dealing with Horgus. Jared's magical prowess is unleashed, fire and lightning dancing at his fingertips. Horgus's soldiers cry out in an attempt to protect their leader, but Jared's lightning magic forces them to retreat. Amidst the clash of powers, Horgus realizes that all along, Jared had orchestrated this turn of events. With a final resounding strike, Jared's magic overwhelms Horgus, who is left astonished by the extent of Jared's power. Jared's heart raced as he surveyed the chaos that unfolded before him, a result of Horgus's meddling. His people had suffered enough, and he was determined to put an end to it. Drawing on his magical powers, he unleashed a burst of energy that struck Horgus, who was now reeling from the unexpected attack. With a skeptical look, Horgus questioned whether Jared truly believed he could make a difference. But one thing was clear. Jared had proven himself to be more skilled than Horgus in this moment. Undeterred, Horgus lunged at Jared, attempting to retaliate, only to find himself thwarted as Jared skillfully pierced his leg. The man warned that the Empire would send their mighty knights to avenge his demise. But Jared was unflinching. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small book, his secret repository of knowledge and memories from his past self. What will happen next? Find out next time by staying tuned for our future recaps. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great recaps.